What's up, Exiles? It's Hegemony, and I wanted to give you guys an update on the progression of this character. I feel like I've gotten to a really good point where I'm able to do everything that I want. There are a few things that I would like to switch up. I'll discuss those in just a bit, but here are some of the updates. First, we'll go off with the gear. We're using the Divinarius again for the radius and the spell damage and the massive amounts of crit chance. The life gain on kill and mana gain on kill, very nice. I purchased this for about 30 chaos or so. This helmet, just life resist. I think I paid around 15 chaos, and it gives me that dex that I need. You will need dex if you want to be efficient with your point spending. Then we have this awesome shield. I think I bought it for around 2 exalts. It was 35 spell damage, crit chance, life, energy shield, chaos res. That chaos res is really sweet, and tier 1 lightning res. This necklace I had purchased for about 1.5 exalts, and then I not multi-modded, but I mastercrafted 24 cold resist. That's what I needed. I ended up buying this because I needed something to cap myself in LA weakness maps. Ultimately, I dished out enough currency so that my character can use that as a free map mod. It gives me more quantity, and I don't have to use as many chaos to roll maps anymore. This ring I actually bought for 1 chaos. This is one of the steals that I found, and then I mastercrafted mana regen. I had to do this like 2 or 3 times to get the higher tier mana regen, because I kept getting the low 25s, 26s, but I'm happy with it now, especially for 1 chaos. Does everything that I needed to do. Just resist, and then that global critical strike chance that helps my spells. It's a level 38 ring. Pretty sweet. This I also purchased for around 8 chaos. Mastercrafted fire resist. Pretty cheap. Carcass Jack, I ended up buying it 6-socketed with no links, I believe, for about 1.8 to 2 exalts, something like that. It was like 1 exalt and then equivalent, and then it took me about 40 fusings to 5 link and about 40 chromes to make it 5 blue. We have Voidbringers. This cost me, since this was corrupted and there's a mistake where it has no quality. Whoever corrupted it didn't quality it before, so it was definitely a lesser value. But the 2 chaos resist is nice. I think I paid around 25 or 30 chaos for this. This belt I paid around 8 chaos for, and I mastercrafted flasks duration because I'm using Taste of Hate, which is essentially lightning coil in a bottle. Now, while this 30% physical damage taken or 30% of physical damage as extra cold doesn't affect me because I do 0 physical damage on any of my skills, I still get the chill and freeze effect, avoidance, and then I still get the physical damage taken as cold during the flask effect. So 4.2 seconds because I'm using it, synergizing it with the flask duration, which you can mastercraft. You see my duration is a bit over 5 seconds. Very cool. I'm also using Blood Dance because it has the dex, the movement speed per frenzy charge, which ends up being around 26%. The reduced attack and cast speed per frenzy charge. That means because frenzy charges give me a total of 5% attack and cast speed, I only net 2 per frenzy charge. So while I might have 3 frenzy charges, I don't have 15% cast speed. I actually have 6, which is okay because the next one is really sweet. Getting 3% life regen per second, that is huge. Getting the frenzy charge on kill, that's just to help buff up the other mods on the boots. Gore footprints, not a fan of those. And then the 6% increased damage against enemies on low life per frenzy charge. So I get an 18% damage boost on targets at low life. That means when I'm fighting like a tough boss and tough rare, if I have 3 frenzy charges, I'll be able to do bonus damage. Moving along, I chose Seething of Staunching. You could also go with Bubbling. That's a very good choice on a Divine Flask. And then I have a Bubbling of Grounding to remove that shock. 2 of my favorite flasks. I always want to bleed and I always want a shock removal. This essentially is my granite flask. as it increases my cold resistance to 85. We have the surgeons of warding, and you could go double surgeons of warding, but I have one ample in case I just want, you know, guaranteed sprint duration and curse immunity. You know, I could use this 3 times because it's 20 out of 67 charges. So it's a very nice uptime without me having to hit or crit. If we look at the defenses, I'm 75 all res right now, but let me put up my auras. I'm running Herald of Ice, Purity of Lightning, Clarity, and Herald of Thunder. And I have 80% lightning res. Now normally Purity of Lightning gives you +4, but because I have Devotion, which is a strength node, it says increase effects buffs on you, and I have Inner Force. That's a 26% total of increased effect of buffs. Now the auras are buffs, so everything that I'm running, the heralds increase their damage, the secondary effect on the herald increases, and the resistances, and mana regen. I think it was around 29 mana regen, 29 or 20, something like that I got. But with all those bonuses come some downsides. The Arctic armor, the mana drain actually increases, and I'll show you on the wiki. So the mana drain with Inner Force at level 20 is 277.9. If you notice, at 21 it'll be 289, and I believe this is without the devotion calculation, just Inner Force. But I have enough mana regen to circumvent that. I have 322.8, so I can still use AA, run around, and be just fine with Inner Force and Devotion. This will level up and be level 21 because of Voidbringers. Voidbringers put +1 level of socketed elemental gems. Now since this is an elemental gem, it says cold up top, it's affected, and right now my 19 is actually a 20. I have cast and damage taken here, Enduring Cry, Mortal Call, only because it's 3 off. It's really hard to get 3 off in a pure int piece and 3 off in a pure dex piece. However, I would like to eventually move this off and put them in my boots, and then have my Conk Effect, Fire Pen, Fire Trap, and critical damage moved over to the gloves, so that I get +1 Fire Pen and +1 Fire Trap, which is drastically going to help my fire trapping. And I can move Arctic armor somewhere else. That's just fine. Alright, so the gems in here, cast some damage taken, Enduring Cry, and Mortal Call, didn't have room for increased duration. If I did have 4 red Voidbringers, which would be super rare, I would put increased duration. And, you know, there are other options. You can put Vaal Grace, Vaal Haste, whatever you like. And then I would put the Arctic armor in here. So now I have Vaal Stormcall, Conk Effect, and Lightning Warp. Conk Effect will affect Lightning Warp damage, but I don't really care about that. I'm just using Lightning Warp to open boxes and travel. Conk Effect drastically increases the damage of Vaal Stormcall. If we look at Stormcall, this is without charges or anything. We have 6473 lightning damage, and I use Vaal Stormcall a lot. Now we have a tooltip of 3876 top end. So you can see the DPS increased X to Y. And when my Stormcall hits and crits, it also causes that chain reaction with the Ice Nova, or Herald of Ice. Assassin's Mark, Decoy Totem, faster cast. This is more like a quality of life, and sometimes I use this. Clarity, Purity of Lightning, Herald of Ice are attached to reduce mana. Herald of Thunder is standalone. It doesn't reserve that much mana, and I have plenty more, so it's not a problem. My Tendrils is still 5-link, Lightning Tendril, Power Charge on crit, increased area of effect, Lightning Pen, and faster cast. So I have 2 items on my character that have global increased radius area of skills. So 10% and 20% from the Carcass Jack. This is going to increase the Herald AoE. That's why it's so nice. If you are hardcore, you could do this with a Cloak of Defiance if you want more defenses. But I'm a little greedy, so I want that extra area, and the Tendril is just massive. you can see how far it extends on the screen. In fact, let me go to a hideout that's darker and you can see clearly how far it goes. It's hitting the edge of the screen. Really, really insane. And then proccing the heralds is just so nice. Alright, so I'm going to do this map and we're going to talk about, you know, a couple things. If you can see the Herald of Ice damage, it's at 1100 right now, and it still has one more level to gain. I assume it's probably going to be around a little over 1200, probably around 1220, 1250, and that DPS does not show up in my tooltip. If you look at my tooltip, it says only 65 to 86 cold damage. That's straight up from the Herald's edition. It's empowered by elemental damage, not spell damage. So yeah, the Herald of Ice AoE explosion, not in your Lightning Tendril tooltip. Now, some things that I do when I fight bosses is I'll just pull this conk effect out and swap it for the AoE gem, so that'll drastically increase my tooltip on Tendrils. If I run conk effect crit damage, I can do something like a 43k Tendril tooltip, but that's not the purpose of the build. The purpose of the build is to get Herald of Ice explosions, freeze, shock, and, you know, do a lot of DPS and hit the entire screen. So for the most part, I usually always run AoE. Very rarely will I ever feel the need to pull this out unless I'm, you know, face tanking a beyond boss that's kind of rough. But the Vaal Stormcall is an extra boost on top of Fire Trap. Fire Trap's purpose is to give me mobile DPS, and it's also to increase my single target DPS when I'm just sitting there channeling, because essentially Tendrils is kind of like a lightning version of Incinerate. But you'll get to see the gameplay. This is a 77 shipyard, pack size, magic monsters, fracture, and double boss. And I'm just gonna show you guys a bit of how this build looks in high level. Alright, here we go. Arctic armor up. Now, Arctic armor is buffed. It won't show up on your tooltip with inner force. You can see it does damage reduction of 161, which when you tie in inner force, it's actually 202 or 201. I forget which one it is. And then at level 21, it's going to be 177 times 1.26. So it actually does way more physical and fire damage reduction at the expense of more mana costs. Alright, so we're going to go in. I don't have power charges at the beginning, so it's smart to throw up Assassin's Mark to get an early boost, and then all of a sudden you just see everything shatter. When you crit, the AoE explosion, there's so much AoE going on and so much Herald of Ice, nearly everything on the screen just clears. I really enjoyed playing this 1-1 softcore character. People ask me all the time, well, this is hardcore Vaal, how do you handle Reflect? Fire Trap helps facilitate that, having the max res. When you're going down into maps, it's always smart to throw up Taste of Hate before you fire into it, because you can't quite see everything. But whenever I feel like I need more DPS, I'll throw up Assassin's Mark, I'll throw a Fire Trap. It all depends on, you know, what I'm expecting. These guys have low HP. They'll die either way. And you'll notice that even my Fire Trap will shatter mobs, because all you need to do is crit with it with 1 cold damage and it will get that effect. And you wonder, well, what is your tooltip DPS with all the charges up? Tendril is currently at 18.2 and my Fire Trap is at 10.1k. Now, getting that ignition damage, I don't pro-lift with this build. Essentially, my pro-lift is my Herald of Ice exploding, sharing that cold damage. And whenever you get overlapping rings, you're getting multiple hits, and that's why it feels and looks great. It's a very fun character. I have no problems taking down most mobs. Would I do a Siri on this? I probably wouldn't, because anytime you're locked in place, you know, having to cast or channel. Generally, it isn't a good idea to handle Atziri, but you could flask through it. I mean, you could go Rise of the Phoenix and Conk Effect, really increase your single target DPS. It is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. Just cast speed will increase the quality of life of your mobility, and you know, just get those tendrils out quicker. People ask me, how many times have you died to reflect? I can answer that. I've died twice to reflect. Once on a precinct because it was a squid map and I was firing down and I didn't pop Taste of Hate. But most of the time I'm able to react with ease. You could run a Topaz Flask, but see, like, you know how I'm traveling down like this? It would be smart to pop Taste of Hate when I can't see stuff, when it's in major pack sizes. The other time I died to reflect, it was when I was leveling up, very low level. But very, very consistent. The build focuses on lots of crit chance, which at the moment is 56.2, and not a lot of crit multiplier. So I want a steady degen of damage, and then that Herald of Ice to just wreck everything on the screen. If I get a lot of crit multiplier, that means I have a lot of wasted DPS. The effective DPS is, you know, essentially gone down. I mean, I'm going to be doing more damage, but doing a lot of overkill. That overkill is going to punish me with elemental reflection. So let's keep going. I'll speed it up a little bit and concentrate a little bit more on my clear speed while you guys watch. Spider Force, whoop-de-doo. But this is 76 map. The map mods that I don't do are like half regen, because that means I can't run AA. What else do I have? No regen, blood magic. I do run enfeeble maps, and enfeeble maps are just fine. And what else? Equilibrium maps are fine. Lightning resistance are just fine. Any resistance, it doesn't really matter. Overall, very, very strong. If you guys have any suggestions of like how to min-max other than the boots and the gloves, I am keen on hearing your thoughts. But I love this character, honestly. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't play it to almost like level 92. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to come on stream and ask me. If I had a 6th link, the last link I would probably put in would be Life Leech if I was on hardcore. And on softcore, it would be a tie between increased critical strike chance. I wanted to try to get this build around 60% crit chance without Assassin's Mark. Right now I'm at 62 or 63. Assassin's Mark gives you 10% crit chance. Additional rare revives nearby monsters. And you can see Vaal Stormcall is just going to wreck in this situation. And you can just chain it because it fills up so fast. So as long as you keep the tools, Vaal Stormcall and Fire Trap and Curses, I mean, you should have no problem taking down any mob. I want to say the scariest Beyond monster, obviously aside from Abraxoth, ironically is the Lightning guy. He does a lot of storm calls, and it's hard to fire trap him because his ball lightnings will wipe them in addition to his storm calls. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, hop on stream and I'll be glad to show you. Also, there are a lot of VODs of the gameplay. And if you want to know more about the leveling process, I guess I can show you that right now. Alright, let's go back to town. So, Scion has the area nodes, so I extended that almost immediately. I didn't get Interforce till way later. The current progression, if I were to get another skill point, I could put it in 5% life here, or I could go cast speed, elemental for more damage. Also, another alternative would be to get critical strike chance. for more consistency on the crits. There's a lot of great options depending upon how you want to play. You can get, since I have 6 power charges, you can get 24 spell damage. It won't increase herald damage, but it'll increase the tendrils and the storm call and the fire trap when you have the power charges. You can go this block wheel, which is super sweet. Spell block, energy shield on shield, which would increase my mana regen because I have Eldritch Battery, and then we have Mind Barrier spell block. Something that I also wanted to do was swap these eventually for Etziri Step, which gives me 60% spell dodge, would help with reflection or anything like that. And let's see, you can also get these flask nodes, which would increase your your taste of hate, your health flask, and your curse immunity flask. So this is also a very good choice. There's nothing else in Templar that I really want to get. Nothing that's needed. You could get Righteous Decree and reduce mana cost if you're really struggling to support a high-powered Arctic Armor and your gear is just not quite there yet. But I did pick up Lightning Walker and Frost Walker, mainly because I needed the extra resistance against LE weakness maps. So leveling up, just went out this way. I went to Templar first. I didn't even grab, well, I think I grabbed Cold and Lightning damage, Stormweaver pretty early. I went down, got Lighted Divinity, got Elementalist for the alt res and the status elements to amplify, Retribution down into Sanctity, or actually got Discipline and Training. I think I skipped these, and then beeline it to Devotion, to Celestial Punishment, then Celestial Judgment. Then I finished off the Sanctity wheel. Then I proceeded into Witch, Elemental Dominion. I went Lightning Walker, and I toggled between these two depending upon which resist I needed at the time. Went up to Annihilation, then went up to AoE Blast Radius, and then I skipped these two. I went to Cruel Preparation to get more life and resist. Then Deep Thoughts and Area of Effectiveness, Deep Wisdom, this wheel. I think this is the point at which I went Eldritch Battery. I went down into Shadow, picked up this wheel along the way. I skipped Doomcast. I went down, picked up Cold-Hearted Calculation. At this point, I'm just going for like pretty much flat damage. I can't remember if I went Assassination or let Shock first. I'm pretty sure I went Shock around Trickery, got Coordination. I was needing Dex, and then I got Assassination. After Assassination, then I got Doomcast. After Doomcast, I got Infused and Instability, or I might have had those slightly before. And then when that was all said and done, oh, I actually picked up this a long time ago too, sorry about that. I think I was ready to hit up maps, and I wanted more Chaos Res, or harder maps, sorry. So I picked up that wheel. Picked this wheel up way later, around by the time I was in 70 maps. And then Power Charge Duration was one of the last few things that I picked up for quality of life, maintaining power charges. Again, I'm sure you guys have quite a few questions. Feel free to come on stream and ask me. Thank you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.